My 26 female sister, 35 female, lost her home due to her husband gambling. They practically lost everything and were forced to eviction. Our parents had always preferred my sister way more. She's the perfect child, perfect husband, perfect house, perfect career. She's a doctor. And thus, she came to me for help. She cried and begged to please let her stay here with me and to not tell anything to our parents until she was divorced. I did, because I know how mean they can be. My boyfriend and I own a 2-bedroom apartment. The guest room that's rather small, and our room that's a lot bigger, and has an ensuite bathroom with a bathtub. This is important. My boyfriend is currently staying with his parents in Texas, so I have the whole house to myself. We talked about it and agreed to let my sister use the guest room and pay minimum rent for a few months. Everything was fine at first, until a few weeks ago when we had some problems with the bathroom my sister uses, and she had to use mine. When she found out I had a bathtub, she was thrilled. She said, "Why didn't I say anything before?" And I told her because it was my personal bathroom and I didn't have to. The problem got fixed in 2 days, but every once in a while she asked me to use my bathtub. I said yes a few times until she just stopped asking and began to go into my bath every time she wanted. She then tried to leave products there until one day I found her sleeping in my bed. I woke her up and told her to get out, but she said that it wasn't fair that I had the better room with the better bath and everything, that she was a doctor and deserved the room way more, and the best thing was to move to the small room and let her have it. I was mad. I couldn't believe that she was in my house trying to rule me. I told her that this wasn't just my house, but my boyfriend's too, and that she had to get her things and leave. She said that I was overreacting, and I told her that yes, sure, but I know how these things usually are, and I don't plan to have it her way. She said that she didn't have anywhere else to go, and I told her too bad. She had to come clean to my parents and is currently staying there. They are mad at me for kicking her out and forcing her to embarrass herself in front of them, and that I owe her my house for free as long as she wants. Not the a-hole. You welcomed your sibling into your home and just wanted basic decency, and she trampled all over your boundaries. She deserves what she gets, to be honest. Not the a-hole. You were doing her a favor and she overstepped. I probably would have given her a few days' notice, but she seems incredibly entitled. As a doctor, unless they're garnishing her check for her hubby's debts, she should be able to afford at least something small for herself. Oh wow, your parents are so blinded by their golden child rhetoric, they can't even see how ludicrous they're being. Good on you, and my sincere applause for surviving black sheep syndrome. That's not easy. Not the a-hole, obviously. Your sister might be a doctor, but unfortunately, she still has a lot of growing up to do. For a little context, my husband, 30 male, and I, 30 female, have a baby boy, 1 male. My husband has a sister and a nephew, 5 male. Our nephew was the favorite, and everything always had to be done around his desires and my sister-in-law's desires. Nephew is really jealous of our son, and my sister-in-law cannot play with him or look at him without a tantrum. The story. 2 months ago, we invited mother-in-law, father-in-law, sister-in-law, and nephew, and my parents to our son's first birthday in our home. We took care of the decorations, sleeping accommodations, cooking. The party was supposed to happen on Sunday around 1 p.m. On Saturday at 6 p.m., they said we should do it now because sister-in-law and nephew had to go early in the next morning. We later learned she finally had to go on the Sunday afternoon. So we prepared everything, but it was getting late, and my son was falling asleep. Sleep at 7 p.m. usually. We put the decorations and everything outside. When everyone was ready, my mother-in-law and father-in-law put presents on the table in front of my nephew and said happy birthday. His birthday was 5 months ago, but they hadn't seen him during that time. They gave other presents to my son. I was livid. My nephew was opening the presents, everyone was looking at him, and my son was sleepy and nobody looked at him, except husband and my family. As he was tired too, I said I was putting son to sleep and went inside without finishing to open the presents. When I came back, nephew was always asking to open my son's presents and said he didn't have enough. I roll. He is spoiled. Prior to this, he had spent the day saying it was his birthday, not my son, and we explained it was not, but looks like he was right. I said thank you for everything, but we should open the presents when my son was awake in the next morning. The day after, we opened the presents, but my sister-in-law and nephew went outside in the middle of it because my husband said nephew shouldn't take the toys from our son by force. It displeased sister-in-law, who went outside. My father-in-law and mother-in-law were tidying my nephew's toys by then. We did not finish to open the presents, but said between my husband and parents that we would do it later between us. When I talked to sister-in-law, she said it was a nice birthday and I was too sensitive. She said I should have done something if I was so displeased. I said, maybe I should have taken your son's presents from him and be a monster. If not, when could I have done something? Am I too sensitive? Is it normal to do this? I said to husband I didn't want to see them for some time, and he totally agreed, but I am second-guessing myself. Am I the a-hole for cutting the family for this? Not the a-hole, but take a breath and let it go. Don't let yourself get talked into their drama. Be straightforward and do your thing next time. Party is on Sunday. You can't come? Too bad. Come for a visit another day. Try not to get bitter about it or get angry. It won't help anything. Not the a-hole. It sounds like they hijacked your baby's birthday and they had planned it without telling you. Sister-in-law forced you to have the party a day early when she knew before she got there that they had to leave early on Sunday. She could have stayed home or asked you in advance to do it on Saturday. Why would anyone show up to a kid's birthday with gifts for a different kid? If anything, mother-in-law and father-in-law could have put nephew's gifts in the car with him when he left, since they hadn't seen him in so long. Your in-laws suck. You should have stood your ground and stuck to having the party on Sunday. Don't go out of your way to accommodate people that wouldn't do the same for you. My mom's been dating her new boyfriend for a year now, and recently, she's been taking their relationship more seriously by going on road trips out of state to meet his parents and kids. It wasn't a surprise to hear shortly after that she inviting them to Thanksgiving. Whatever. I didn't care much. This was obviously an attempt for us to meet each other since, to this point, we know nothing about them. They are complete strangers. I barely even know their names. What caught my attention was when she made a comment about how I'd be sleeping in my brother's room. I have my own room, of course, with my own bed. I'm 19 years old, waiting to get into trade school. My brother, on the other hand, is significantly younger than I am, and is, quite frankly, a whiny crap. Apparently, since my room is also now the guest room, she's going to give my bed, my room, to his kid. Naturally, I was outraged. I asked her to clarify. Maybe I heard her wrong. Nope. She affirmed her intentions to me, saying that how we as the hosts are to make sure they are as comfortable as possible and feel welcome. I know I live here, but I would not consider myself a host. Of course, I objected and arguments ensued. I quickly proposed 3 easy solutions, such as they could sleep on cots, an inflatable mattress, or just sleep on the ground. None satisfied her. She seems content on making me give up my bed, like she's trying to make a good first impression on how welcoming we are. She reiterates time and time again how this is how it's supposed to go, that whenever you have company over, you're supposed to give up your bed for that company, like it's some unspoken general rule. I wouldn't have a problem with giving up my bed for my grandparents, or even their grandparents, because they are old and would actually require a bed. Meanwhile, his kids that are coming over are near my age and has no special accommodations that need to be met. So why is it so hard that they sleep on the floor or couch? She is trying so hard to be liked, to be welcoming, that she is essentially kicking me to the curb over his kids, and I won't stand for that. According to her, they're good kids, and I'm sure they are. I just don't care that they are coming. I don't want to meet them, and I want to sleep in my bed at night. My own family is turning to crap, and I don't want an extension. I'm posting this because I intend to fight her, and I don't care if they feel unwelcome. The arguments are already getting uglier and uglier. I'm not sure how far this will go, but I will not sleep on the floor in my brother's room because my mom decided to kick me out for her boyfriend's kids. I live here. I sleep here. This is my space. Get out. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. And why wouldn't the youngest be the one to give up his bed? That's the unspoken rule, that the youngest gives up their bed, not the oldest. Not the a-hole. She's given you a sneak peek at how she'll treat you and your younger brother if the guy and his kids move in or they get married. She's already showing favoritism towards them by kicking you out of your room altogether when they're only visiting. Plus, you've never met these people. They could steal from you or damage your things. If she insists on you giving up your room, then make arrangements to stay somewhere else with a friend for the weekend until they leave. It's her house, so she can make whatever sleeping arrangements she wants. That doesn't mean you have to stay there and play happy family for the new boyfriend. My brother and his wife had their first child about 2 months ago. They live about an hour from my wife and I, and we've gone to visit them a few times since baby arrived. Since we didn't really get a family Thanksgiving last year, my wife and I decided to host for my family this year. We sent out an email to everyone letting them know our plan and got confirmations from pretty much everyone, except my brother. He called me a few days later and said that he and sister-in-law weren't sure they could make it. I asked him why, and he said that they already have to attend sister-in-law's Thanksgiving with her mom and stepdad, and then go to her dad and stepmom's as well. I told him I was sorry to hear that and pretty much left it at that. The next day he called again and said that after talking with sister-in-law, he wanted to ask if we could change our hosting to the day after Thanksgiving so that they could attend, as they wanted to see some of our family that they haven't seen in a while. I told him I wasn't going to change the schedule as I had already gotten confirmations from a lot of people for Thanksgiving Day, and I'm not going to change it all just for them. He got kind of frustrated by it, but didn't push it. Then, a couple days after that, he called again. He said that sister-in-law's dad and stepmom changed their schedule, so they are planning on coming to our place Thanksgiving Day again. Okay, awesome. Looking forward to it. But then he asked if a cousin of ours was planning on bringing his dog. I told him that I told cousin it was okay to bring his dog so that his dog and our dog could play together in the yard. He said I need to ask cousin not to bring his dog, as his dog is high energy and he's worried about it around their baby. I told him if he wanted to do that on his own, he's more than welcome, but I'm not going to be the one to talk to cousin about it, as I already gave him the okay. I also told him that my dog will be there anyway, so not sure why having 2 dogs instead of 1 is such a big deal. He then said that he thought maybe we could keep our dog separate from the baby for the day too. I told him this was all getting to be too much, and he was asking for a lot of accommodations for someone who was just coming over for a few hours and not helping with food or cleaning up. He got mad at me and said it's going to be hard for them to help with anything due to the kid. I told him I understand that, but that doesn't mean I need to make every arrangement and accommodation specifically for him. I told him literally no one else has called to ask for any special accommodation, just him. It kind of devolved into a fight from there, with both of us calling each other an a-hole. He thinks I'm being unreasonable by not making a few easy accommodations for them. I told him they can either accept the invitation as is or not come. Word got around the family about it, and now my wife and my mom are on my case for being a jerk when my brother and sister-in-law already have a lot going on. Not the a-hole. Is he being entitled? Yes. But they're first-time parents who are being overly cautious. Cut them some slack and understand that once their kid starts licking the floor, they'll be over it. I think you handled it perfectly. Not the a-hole. You've been more than accommodating. You've invited extra guests. You have given permission for said extra guests to bring a dog. You have done what you can, but to ask for any further accommodations is going over the top. New babies can be stressful, but at some point, you need to go into public, or a family's home, and just see what happens without controlling the whole situation. Not the a-hole. If you're planning something with multiple people, such as a family gathering, it's pretty normal that not everyone can make it, so you shouldn't need to switch dates just for your brother to come. Also, if your brother feels uncomfortable with having dogs around his baby, he should be able to keep watch over his baby himself, in my opinion. My daughter, 16 female, is spoiled. I'm not going to lie. My wife, her mom, died when she was really young, and my own mom helped raise her and lives with us. My mom spoils her because grandma, and because she feels bad for her, honestly. And honestly, I haven't always been as attentive as I should be, and sometimes it is just easier in the moment to give in, though I know I've been a crappy parent for it. My daughter got in big trouble at school recently. She paid someone to write a paper for her and was unapologetic about it when she got caught and tried to blame it on the other person and lie about it. I was telling my late wife's sister about it. She lives in another country with her family and kids, ages 29 to 6, because they're a blended family. She said, "Oh, you should send her to stay with me." She and her husband are much stricter parents, and 29 male turned out fine. I really wanted to get my daughter away from my mom for a while. I told my daughter and flew with her to sister-in-law's, then left after 2 days while she stayed. It was a punishment, but also she hasn't seen sister-in-law and those cousins since age 11 due to virus and international travel costs, so it would be good for her for that reason. My mom was mad at me, but couldn't really stop me, and even she knows my daughter is spoiled, even if she encourages bad behavior sometimes. My daughter was very unhappy to be there. She already knew she'd have to do chores and be more respectful and have rules about things like her phone, which is attached to her arm normally. Their kids are much better behaved. It was embarrassing, honestly. After I left, it seemed to improve though. Of course, she was upset and mad and nasty over text, but sister-in-law said it went well overall, and she's been better behaved since she got back. For example, when I ask her to do something like take her dishes into the kitchen, she does it. I also said if she kept on the same track, I'd send her back, so she's been better behaved for that reason. My mom is still very upset at me and saying it was cruel and neglectful for me to send her away like that, even if it was for her own good. I said she needed the reality check. And of course, my daughter herself is still upset, but just not as openly mad about it because she knows she's already on thin ice. But it was clearly effective. Yes, the a-hole. This is a way of parenting I'll never understand. You admitted yourself you're a crappy parent. You allow your daughter to be spoiled. Instead of talking to your mom to stop spoiling her, you abandon her to a different country after a duck-up. I'm stuck on the fence, but I'm going yes, the a-hole. I think my issue is that you can send someone away and have them learn routines, but you have to keep those routines in order to be successful. If you aren't keeping routines, you basically just made your sister-in-law a punishment. Not the a-hole, but you need to grow a backbone and learn how to parent your own kid. It's not fair to set up your sister-in-law as the bad guy all the time, and you need to get your mother in line if she's part of the problem too. Too bad if she gets mad and throws a tantrum. That's her problem, not your problem. It's important for your kid to respect you, not just like you, and same with your mother.